Hello, hello, hello. It's lovely, glorious weather here in the old London, England. So if you do hear cars flying past outside, it's because I've got the windows open. Summer is on the horizon. We've got some glorious weather going on at the minute, and because of that, my wrists are more exposed than they might otherwise be. And recently I've started wearing 2 watches on my wrist, so I thought to talk about that today. Now, I know the idea of wearing 2 watches at once might fill you with horror, but don't worry, I'm not a monster. They are indeed on separate wrists. People do sometimes ask me why I wear 2 watches on my wrist, and I do have a couple of different reasons for that. First and foremost, they serve different purposes. One, you might be able to tell, is a fitness tracker, and the other one is just a standard watch. So technically speaking, I don't have 2 watches. I just have a watch and a fitness tracker that can also tell the time. So the fitness tracker at least has a specific purpose. But what about the watch? If the tracker can do all my time telling by itself, then why bother wearing a watch at all? Although I'm someone who values utility and everything, making sure it has its job and efficiency and all stuff like that, there is something to be said for just the way that a watch being a nice object looks, and a watch just being a nice object to have. A watch can sort of display your tastes and your styles and your fashion sense way more than just a simple sort of plain uniform fitness tracker ever could. I mean, there's also the sentimental reason for wearing a watch. This particular watch was given to me by a member of my family when they passed away, and so there is that sentimental, emotional reasons which can never be fully encapsulated by utility. Finally, and perhaps my favourite reason for why I wear 2 watches at the same time, and the reason I normally give to people when they ask me, why do you wear 2 watches, as my friends frequently do, and I have sort of practiced. I've built up like a stock answer now. This is the reason that I give if people ever do ask me. It goes like this. It's a quote: "A man with 1 watch knows what time it is. A man with 2 watches is never certain." And I really like that quote. And it might sound really stupid and pretentious to wear 2 watches because you can say a quote at people when they ask you the question. And I do feel a little bit like Augustus Waters in The Fault in Our Stars with the cigarettes and "it's a metaphor" and and all that. But it really encapsulates my worldview quite nicely. There are several ways you can read that quote. Contradictory ways, in fact. For example, you could read it that the people with the most knowledge and the most informed are normally the least certain about their ideas, and the more knowledge they have, the more you get to see both sides of things, and the less easy it is to be definitively one way or definitively another. And I think that lack of certainty sums me up quite well. Never entirely certain about what I believe in or anything like that. I always enjoy playing devil's advocate whenever I talk to people, so I think that sums me up quite nicely. But it also shows that you can never be certain, because just because you have 1 watch doesn't mean that watch is correct. It could be completely wrong. Just because you have 2 watches and they tell different times doesn't mean that either one of them is wrong or either one of them is correct. And it just sort of brings into focus the idea of truth and what we can know. And it might be a stupid reason for wearing 2 watches. I never normally explain why it is that I wear 2 watches. I just sort of say the quote at them and let them make up their own minds. But that's sort of what's going on in my head. So maybe you should try that. Maybe you should try wearing an item of clothing and then assign some sort of weird quote to it. Some weird quote that you can interpret in multiple ways to it, and let your friends and co-workers figure out exactly what it means. Or I could just wear the fitness tracker. There's always that. Anyway, have a good day. And remember, there's no such thing as definitive truth. It's a weird sign off. I'm gonna finish this. I don't know. Yeah, that'll do. Question everything.